What's up, everybody watching this? This is a new Year in Wrestling Reloaded Part 2, 1984 Part 2. Check out my first Year in Wrestling series, where I started talking 1987 all the way up to 2015. Check out that first series, Year in Wrestling. I got a ton of videos, over 100 Year in Wrestling videos to watch. From 1987, I talk about all the way up to 2015. This is the Year in Wrestling Reloaded, 1984 Part 2. I'll talk about Starrcade 84. Talk about Tuesday Night Titans, which debuted. WWF debuted a new program on the USA Network. It's called Tuesday Night Titans. And I'll talk about, what else? A couple news items. First, I don't know if I mentioned it in Part 1. I'm representing this Hulkamania shirt because that's the year 1984, January 23rd. I hope it's the 23rd of January. It happened. Hulk Hogan won the WWF title for the first time, and Hulkamania was born in the WWF. And as I said, Hulkamania would go on to run wild from 84 to 93. And then after that, it kind of died out because fans didn't want to cheer him anymore. So, Hogan won the title January 84 from the Iron Sheik, would go on to have a 4-year-long title run as WWF champion. 4 years he held it. So his first title defense, I don't know if I mentioned it in Part 1, I can't remember, but his first WWF title defense was against the Masked Superstar. If you don't know who that was Demolition Axe under a mask. Before he was Axe of Demolition, he was a Masked Superstar. And he worked in many territories and companies before he went to WWF as Demolition Axe full time. And even after he was Masked Superstar, I guess Vince didn't want to use that name for him anymore. Vince made Demolition Axe one of the super machines. The group, the machines, where Andre the Giant was under a mask is ridiculous because everybody knew it was Andre. But he was under a mask. And then the big machine, the super machine, and the giant machine, they were all under masks. And one of them was Demolition Axe. I think he was the super machine, or big machine. So anyways, Hogan's first title defense as champion in 84 was against the Masked Superstar. His real name, I believe, is Bill Eddie or something like that. That's his real name. So another big thing that happened, big story, as I said, Tuesday Night Titans debuts on the USA Network in 1984. It was like a ripoff of The Tonight Show, basically. Vince McMahon was a host, sitting behind a desk, like he was a late night host, and his guests were all wrestlers. I think it was a great idea. It got over the wrestlers, it got the fans that didn't know all the wrestlers part of the roster. It got a lot of fans to know who all these guys were. So it was a great idea. And then they did a lot of skits, a lot of segments, a lot of skits that were pretty funny stuff, like Fuji Vice, Mr. Fuji and Don Morocco were ripping off Miami Vice, but it was called Fuji Vice. And they were god-awful at acting, but it was funny as hell. Another skit they did on Tuesday Night Titans at one point, I think this was from 84, Rowdy Piper came on as a guest. He was playing a major heel at the time. And people really hated Piper. They hated his guts. The fans really hated him. So to give himself even more heat, Piper came on Tuesday Night Titans and went like that loud. It was that vicious, that violent, that loud of a slap to Lord Alfred Hayes. Slapped him across the face, and I'm sure that had to hurt like hell. So then Piper, after he did that, I believe Vince McMahon kicked him off the show, like kayfabing it, like get out of here, stuff like that. But it was a real slap. It was an open hand slap to Lord Alfred Hayes. I believe he went down and fell down on the couch, or sat down. And then when they came back from commercial break, by the way, this episode's on the network. If you have WWE Network, it's a 1984 episode of Tuesday Night Titans. I think it might be from March or April, 84, I think. Or maybe February, I'm not sure. So they come back from commercial break, and Lord Alfred Hayes' face is all bruised up, like it's bloodied and bruised up. I felt sorry for the guy. But that was pretty awesome. That took place on Tuesday Night Titans. Another segment, skit, that took place once. They brought a fan out of the crowd. I'm sure he worked for the company, or they just paid him like $100. He sat down in a barber's chair, and Ken Patera, Bobby Heenan, and Big John Studd started cutting the guy's hair. And they started messing up his hair, cutting it to make him look ridiculous. They started shaving his head on the top, and they left his hair on the bottom. It was damn funny as hell. At the time, Bobby Heenan was managing Big John Studd, and I believe he was managing Ken Patera. And Bobby Heenan had a lot of great lines. Vince McMahon had the microphone, and he was holding it up to their faces. And Bobby Heenan kept making fun of the guy. Then at one point, the guy tried to get out of the chair, and they held him down and tied him down. They put a rope and tied him down to the chair. That was damn funny. Then they put a whole bunch of shaving cream all over his face and his head, and they started spraying him with water. It was damn funny. So then, Tuesday Night Titans, it was a great program. It was, I think it ran for 2 years, till 86. I think till September 86. It was a great program. I enjoy watching the Tuesday Night Titans back on the network, because at the time I couldn't see it live. So I was only like barely 1 year old when it started. I wasn't even 1 year old yet, really, till July 84. So, Tuesday Night Titans, to me, it was a great program and pretty damn entertaining. So then, a news item that happened in 84 on June 9th, 84. Rowdy Piper at a Piper's Pit. Jimmy Snuka was his guest. Really is ripping Jimmy Snuka, making fun of him, calling him names that could be perceived now, definitely, could be looked at as racist. He's saying to Jimmy Snuka, you jump from tree, saying you look like you're like a little monkey. He was really making fun of Jimmy Snuka, calling him monkey, stuff like that. And then he says, you like all this stuff. He says, I got you a couple of gifts. They were in like a brown plastic bag. He's pulling out bananas, throwing bananas in the air, saying, you like bananas? He said, I got you a couple of coconuts, got you a pineapple. Then Jimmy Snuka's not paying attention, or he has a microphone. I think he says to Piper, are you making fun of me? And then Piper goes, oh, no, I'm not making fun of you, no. He says, I'm not making fun of you. Then he picks up a coconut, bashes it, cracks the coconut, it smashes, cracks it over Jimmy Snuka's head. Those coconuts are damn hard to break over somebody's head, I'm sure. So Piper probably took all his strength and cracked it on Jimmy Snuka's head. It exploded. Snuka, I'm sure, was in shock. Didn't know where he was. Probably had a concussion. Snuka starts falling backwards, takes down the Piper's Pit set. And Piper starts walking over to him, yelling at him, "You're nothing, you're garbage," throwing coconuts down at him. And Piper goes out of like a back door, and then Snuka is pissed. When Snuka gets up on his feet, there's a lot of wrestlers and officials trying to hold him back because he probably really wanted to kill Piper. So then Snuka charges at the door and is banging on it, banging on the door. Almost breaks the damn door down, but I believe Piper explained and said in interviews that he was behind that door holding it so Snuka couldn't get at him. And he said it was very hard to hold it back because Snuka was really trying to push the door in. So that was on June 9th, 1984. Piper smashed a coconut over Snuka's head. That was epic Piper's Pit segment. So other news items from 1984 before I talk about Starrcade 84 and review it. On September, I don't know the date, in September 84. In a top Japanese story of the year, the JWP, Japanese Wrestling Promotion, is formed and affiliates itself with All Japan Pro Wrestling. The organization features top New Japan stars who walked out in a dispute with the promotion. Riki Chosu, Masasana Soto, Kobayashi, I believe, and I can't pronounce that guy's name, Yoko Tashi, whatever. New Japan is crippled by their departure, while All Japan enjoys banner years in 1905 and 1906. And Choshu's Army Wrestling at the top of their cards against such All Japan stars as Jumbo I don't know the guy's name, Jumbo somebody, and Ten Turan, or not, I can't pronounce the guy's name. Anyways, a lot of talent from New Japan left, jumped to All Japan. So, and it said All Japan had their banner years in 85, 86. September 29th, 1904. An attempt to counter the rising power of the WWF. A new wrestling program, Pro Wrestling USA, makes its debut on New York's WPIX. The program also aired in Japan, features a combination of NWA and AWA talent, and most notably brings Bob Backlund back into the public eye just months after the birth of Hulkamania in the WWF. Obviously, Power Wrestling, or Pro Wrestling USA obviously did not last on USA Network. Obviously, they couldn't compete with WWF. They couldn't. AWA tried that with NWA talent at their Super Clash events, and that didn't really work because all the promoters, a part of it, wanted their talent to go over. So, next story, final story before I do Starrcade 4, December 28th. Just looking at some news on my TV. Trump bans transgender troops from the military. That is fucking ridiculous and stupid and wrong. really wrong. So December 28th, the Cobra beats Black Tiger in Madison Square Garden to win the vacant WWF Junior Heavyweight title. I remember the Cobra. He wasn't around long, but he was a pretty good talent. He was a masked wrestler. So now to Starrcade 84. Starrcade 84. Wasn't a great event, but it wasn't bad either. The main event was very good. So up first, I don't know if this is a dark match or what, but Denny Brown defeated NWA World Junior Heavyweight Champion Mike Davis for the title. I don't know who those guys are. Brian Adonis defeated Mr. Aito. Jesse Barr defeated Mike Graham. I know who Mike Graham is, but don't know who Jesse Barr is. Buzz Taylor. A lot of these matches are just, I'm reading them. One. I mean, I remember watching Starrcade 4 on the network, and I didn't think it was that good, except for the main event. And I believe, the main event was the absolute best match of Starrcade 4. Ric Flair, Dusty Rhodes. So anyways, I'm going to quit looking at the news. Buzz Taylor and Assassin 1 defeated the Zamboa Express, whoever the hell that is. Manny Fernandez, I know who he is, defeated Black Bart. Paul Jones, I know who he is, defeated Jimmy Valiant in a loser leaves town tuxedo match. Mid-Atlantic champion Ron Bass, I know who he is, defeated Dick Slater by DQ. I know who Dick Slater is. Ivan Koloff and Nikita Koloff defeated Ole Anderson and Keith Larson. Tully Blanchard defeated Ricky Steamboat. I believe that's for the TV title, and that was a damn good match. Wahoo McDaniel defeated Superstar Graham. Main event, NWA World Champion Ric Flair defeated Dusty Rhodes when the referee Joe Frazier stopped the match because of a cut above Dusty Rhodes' eye. So the match was stopped. Dusty was pissed. But it was a decent finish. And they would have another match at Starrcade 85 with Dusty and Ric Flair. Definitely one of the greatest feuds of the 80s was Dusty Rhodes against Ric Flair. So Starrcade 4, not that good of a pay-per-view. Pretty boring. Pretty damn boring to watch it back. Very boring, except for Ric Flair, Dusty Rhodes. So this ends my year in wrestling. 1984 Reloaded Part 2. Next year in wrestling Reloaded will be 1985 Part 1. Hope you enjoyed 84 Part 2. Year in wrestling Reloaded. This was 1984 Part 2. Hope you enjoyed it. Follow me on Twitter at WWE NXT Guy and like, comment, share, and subscribe. Bye for now, everybody.